Hi, gang. This is Mean Gene Okerlund from World Wrestling Entertainment, reminding you you're where it's at with the interactive interview right here online.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Interactive Interview on theinteractiveinterview.com. I'm James Walsh, joined as always by Daniel Edler, with our special guest, the one and only Mean Gene Okerlund.
Hey, Gene, how you doing today?
I'm doing very good, guys. How are you doing?
Real good.
A lot of things happening, and I'm sure during the course of this interview, we're going to be able to cover a myriad of topics. So let's get her rolling.
Okay, Dan, you want to kick it off?
Indeed, right. We had such a humongous response when we announced that we was going to be doing an interview with you. There's been an absolute outpour of questions for you, so I hope we can do you justice in your very young field. So,
well, if you don't do me justice, I have ways of dealing with you. No, just kidding.
Okay, let's kick this off. Were you a pro wrestling fan as a child?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. I think I probably was first introduced to professional wrestling on television in the late 1950s, and I might have been 12, 13 years old, but basically, yeah, I liked it then, and I followed it throughout high school and college, and unlikely as it may seem, I ended up in the business in 1970.
Mm-hmm. How did you end up being an announcer for the first time?
Well, I was working at a television station which happened to carry the old AWA, the American Wrestling Association, which was essentially run by a promoter by the name of Vern Gagne, who, by the way, was a very, very good wrestler. One of the top amateur wrestlers who became a great professional wrestler in the early days of wrestling television. And they had an announcer, an old Irishman by the name of Marty O'Neill, who I believe either had a heart attack or something, some illness that prohibited him from doing a live show. Every Saturday night it was a live show. That was back in the days of live television. So from 6 until 7:30, they had 90 minutes to fill and no announcer. And since I had spent a little time in radio, they had kind of commissioned me for the duty, and of course there was a little green on the side, which was the motivating factor to get me into it. I really didn't think I could handle it initially, but as it turned out, it was kind of a good fit. I didn't have any problems because, as you know, you got to be a part sportscaster, but part used car salesman in this business too.
Mm-hmm.
Equal parts thereof.
Yeah. In recent months, recent years, they've been running pay-per-views on DirecTV and on in-demand pay-per-view for classic wrestling from the 70s, and some of that stuff is real classic stuff. Do you miss that era of the business?
Yeah, I do. Not that those were the good old days, because I mean that's all history, but it's very pleasant and very memorable for me. A lot of those guys that I worked with never made a lot of big dough. They did have big egos, just like the guys do today. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, because if you don't have an ego in this business, you're probably not going to be a top performer. You've got to have pride, and you've got to have a little something inside you to push you toward the top. I really kind of think that the wrestling itself may not have been technically quite what it is today, but on the other hand, I think the wrestlers in the ring did a great job of telling stories. I remember the great Johnny Valentine, the late great Johnny Valentine, one time in a match with Harley Race, had him in an arm bar for 12 to 15 minutes, and you would have thought the crowd would have been snoozing. On the contrary, they were on the edge of their seats. And I saw a lot of people work like that. Dusty Rhodes, Stick Murdoch. I can go, on and on with some of the great stars that were big, 25, 30, 40 years ago. The action was a little bit different, and today it's all TV. Trust me, it is all TV. Then they had house shows, and everything was built up to a house show. So Yeah, the 70s and 80s are very, very memorable for me.
You did some of the first promos Hulk Hogan ever cut. How has he grown since then, and how did you help him in his early days?
It's a difference between day and night. When I met Hulk Hogan in 1979 and 1980, I'm going back now, it's 23, 24 years ago, he was green, but you could tell that this guy had something special. Even then, he had something special, and he was a little rough on his promos or interviews, as it were. But we worked through them together, and he ended up being able to do just one hell of a stand-up promo, and obviously it worked, because I think arguably he's probably the biggest wrestling star, at least of the 80s and 90s, in my opinion.
How did you come to the decision to leave the AWA for the WWF?
That's where greed reared its ugly head, and a gentleman by the name of Vince McMahon gave me a call. I was running an advertising agency in Minneapolis and was quite content to do wrestling one day a week, but he said he had this new idea. They were going to revolutionize the wrestling business. They were going to take it coast to coast and eventually global, and he wondered if I'd be part of it. And he did offer me a pretty good sum of money. Back in those days, well, even by today's standards, it would be quite attractive, and I kind of jumped on it. All I had to do was essentially run out to New York 3 days every 3 weeks, and it would be one trip for 3 days, and I'd be back in my little comfortable office in Minneapolis, I guess fighting the wars in the advertising business.
Dan, you want to take the next one?
You talk about Vince. What's your opinion on how he may have changed since when you first met him to how you know him now?
Are you talking about Hulk?
Vince McMahon.
Oh, Vince McMahon. Oh, well, he certainly has changed, but in my opinion, gentlemen, I think he had to change. He couldn't be in the rank and file and have 300 or 400 employees and keep any kind of order or respect by going out and drinking with the boys. He really, tamed his life down considerably. And the one thing I will say about Vince is he is 24/7 in this wrestling business. It's both his vocation and his avocation. He would enjoy spending weekends. Maybe you and I like to go out to the golf course or go out on the boat or do something of a recreational nature. He gets off on spending a weekend writing television shows and talking over angles with his very small inner circle of confidants. But he's changed dramatically. Obviously, the years change a person a little bit too, because if you go back 20 years ago today, here's a guy now, I think in his late 50s, and something he wouldn't have done 20 years ago is step into a ring and wrestle. And we know that he's done a little bit of that. If his dad were alive, I think he'd probably discourage that, because he really tried to keep his son away from the business in that regard. So Vince he's done it his way, and let's face it, he's the most successful man in this wrestling venture and sports entertainment, which is part pop culture and it's part sports.
You did a tag team match, and I think you teamed up with Hulk Hogan against Mr. Fuji and George the Animal Steele.
I did.
Yes.
And I was not supposed to be involved in that. That was Hogan had promised me before going into that I would not be involved in the least. All I'd have to do is stand out of the ring apron and cheer him on. And he made a couple of great moves on both Fuji and Steele. Came over to me, I high-fived him, and the ref took it as a legal tag. So I kind of was forced into that thing.
What are your memories of the training videos that you guys shot for that?
I got sick as a dog. I've smoked cigars. I don't think that's any secret. And I'm not one to back off a cocktail. I love a cocktail. I don't eat the best. I love to have bratwurst and steaks and all kinds of other goodies. I'll sit at a bar and have a bag of peanuts and a half a dozen cocktails. That's not conducive for great athletes.
Yeah.
So Hogan kind of got me straightened out in that respect. Matter of fact, I still have a bad foot from where I dropped a barbell on myself.
What are your memories of the original wrestling album? I believe you did a cover of a Little Richard song.
Yeah, called Tutti Frutti.
Right.
But everybody did Tutti Frutti. I mean, from Elvis Presley to Lord knows who. Cliff Richard did it in the UK. But I was just going to say that I truly enjoyed that because I did have a bit of a musical past, and it was kind of exciting to work with the likes of David Wolf and Cyndi Lauper, and a guy that just lives right down the street from me now, Rick Derringer, from the old Johnny Winter group in the McCoys. And I still see a lot of the musical people. Brian Johnson from AC/DC is a neighbor of mine. Dickie Betts from the old Allman Brothers, the lead guitarist, doesn't live more than a block and a half away. So I kind of hang with these music people, and I like them. There's a good comfort level there. I truly enjoyed my association with all the guys on both the wrestling albums 1 and 2.
Since you mentioned it, what was your musical background?
Well, I'm like every other little rotten kid. Mother would send me to piano lessons, I think probably starting at around 4 or 5. And by the time I was 7 or 8, I was skipping every other lesson and going to the pool hall and working on 3-cushion billiards. So I really am not an accomplished pianist, and on the other hand, I'm not that good of a pool player, but I can do both.
You mentioned Rick Derringer. I believe you were on his Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo video. Do you have any memories of that?
Yeah, and I also did the song on the wrestling album number 2, and truly enjoyed working with Rick. I see Rick now. We're a little older and wiser, but this guy still cooks. He plays here in town periodically, and good people, very good people, very talented.
Dan, you want to take the next one?
You've done many things during your time with the WWE, but very few stick out like the gobbledygooker. What is and was your opinion?
You had to bring that up, Dan.
Indeed.
What are my memories of that?
Yes.
It was a disaster of monumental proportions. remember the gobbledygooker came out of the egg up in Hartford, and I think it was at the Thanksgiving extravaganza, which I'm assuming might have been Survivor Series.
Yes, it was 1990.
But it laid an egg from the reaction of the crowd. I mean, here came the gobbledygooker, and Vince sent me up to the ring. He says, get in the ring with the gobbledygooker and do crossovers. Well, I made about 2 of them, and then I tripped and hit the ropes and cracked 3 ribs. So for me, it was doubly unpleasant. Even as big as a bomb it was, and I had to walk away from that little fiasco injured. It's not something I'd like to be involved with again. Nor was I capable of saving the day.
Why did you decide to leave the WWE originally?
The WWF, I had some basic philosophical questions going back to 1992. And there were differences of opinion between Vince and myself. And I think once you get a little agitated with what's going on, I think the best thing to do, and you could talk to a Steve Austin or a Jim Ross or a Hulk Hogan or a Randy Savage or any of these great stars, talk to a Ric Flair. You got to get away from it and back off and kind of look back and see, what am I doing with my life? Am I happy doing this? And if I weren't doing this, what else would I be happy doing where I could make a living? Well, as it turned out, I left there in, I believe, late August or early September of 1993, and by the middle of September, I was working for WCW. And in my estimation, change is always good. I'm very happy to be back in WWE now, but 10 years ago, I don't regret making the move to WCW, and we had a lot of fun with that, too.
How did you end up getting an offer from World Championship Wrestling?
Well, actually, I had a friend of mine by the name of Jesse Ventura, the former governor of the Minnesota Now talk show host on MSNBC. I'm not giving them a plug or him a plug, but Jesse was working for WCW, and he said, hey, you got to get down here and work with these guys. They could use you, and they pay good money, and it's easy duty, and you'll have a lot of fun, and you could contribute. And to me, that was a challenge. So since I had the same agent as Jesse Ventura, I just called him and said, why don't you make an overture? Let's see what we can do. And the rest is history. It was done.
Was Eric Bischoff the boss at that point?
He wasn't he was the executive producer, and he certainly was instrumental in hiring me, but Eric replaced me when I left the old AWA, so there was kind of a tie-in there, and I had a pleasant experience initially with Eric until he got in over his head. I didn't have any problems with him in the early going, and we sat down and we talked what we needed to do in terms of strategy and rebuilding of that company to make it a viable product. And God knows he did that. He did it the hard way, and maybe he did it with smoke and mirrors, but he did it. Even though it didn't last, he at least was able to seize the moment. It's kind of like the Olympics. Win that race and that's it, but couldn't sustain it. So that's the story there.
I remember some of the ideas that people had when the idea of Nitro was kicked around. Well, what were you thinking in the back of your mind?
Well, I thought, it was something that had been discussed, and I'm sure that even Ted Turner had tremendous input in that. And I'm sure that Eric and Bill Shaw and Bob Dew and all of those people that were kind of in charge at that particular point in time went to Ted and said, here's what we would like to do. We'd like to go head-to-head with Vince McMahon's Raw on Monday night, and we'd like to do her on TBS initially, but it wasn't going to be on TBS. It went to TNT, and that's where we decided to put it, and the rest is history, because for, I think, some 85 or 86 weeks, Nitro was not only the number one wrestling show, it was the number one show in cable television.
Right.
Very successful.
Dan, you want to take the next one?
When the NWO angle started, how did WCW change backstage?
Well, there's always little cliques. There was in the old WWF, there was even back in the AWA when I was working there, and I'm sure the NWA or any of the other promotions around the country, around the world, they had cliques. But there really wasn't in any locker room divisiveness. However, I think it was kind of a pick and choose deal, and you initially started out with a party of four there, really, because it was Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, then joined by Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. And I think the real downfall of the NWO is when the NWO became bigger than WCW in terms of the talent roster. The company could have just as well changed all the way over, but see, that wasn't going to work. It had to be something as small, unique, and exclusive as the Four Horsemen. And once you get 20 guys in the NWO, it's no longer an exclusive club.
What do you think the downfall was of the NWO? You kind of just answered that, but
it got tired. It wore out. And you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's going to get tired. Unfortunately, in our business, it's a 52-week business, and that's never more apparent than it is on television. Some people can be very critical of our television shows, and whether it's ours or somebody else's, if you're on the air 52 weeks a year, you got to be fresh. You got to have storylines that are compelling, and your talent has got to be doing some different things. There's got to be that surprise factor, and it's a very tough product to deliver on a year-round basis. Plus, I think people burn out after a while. I think they got to get away from it and sit down. Steve Austin, I think, was rejuvenated, at least for a very short period of time, and I think we'll see him back sooner or later. The Rock seemed to come back with a little flair, being away from the business, and certainly Hogan came back to tremendous reception when he returned to the WWE. I think that that our business is one that is going to be ongoing, but the thinking has got to change, and maybe the writing has got to change, and maybe the booking has got to change periodically to give the television audience a little different touch.
You mentioned your...
Speaking of booking, how did you feel when WWE brought in Vince Russo?
I didn't particularly care for that. I don't care for Vince Russo. I don't think he's that much of a talent, and he certainly didn't do anything for our business. Whether he did it for the old WWF or not is still a matter of opinion in the minds of many. Not that I have any big personal grudge against the man. He just never impressed me as to what the hell he was doing.
Do you think he can be somewhat accredited with the downfall of WCW?
Well, he certainly contributed to it, but I'm not going to blame the whole failure of or downfall of WCW on Vince Russo, because Lord knows that really started at the top of the ladder at AOL Time Warner. You got to have people in there that know the business, and when this thing met with modest success, all of a sudden we had corporate people running in from all over the place. Now they're throwing in their 2 cents worth, and before you know it, it was compromised down to nothing. And it's very unfortunate, because I like still today, even though I'm working for WWE, I would like to see good, healthy competition in the marketplace. It's good for everybody, including Vince McMahon, me, you, fans. Everybody comes out a winner. And certainly the talent.
You were backstage at Bash at the Beach 2000. What was your opinion of what went on between Vince Russo and Hulk Hogan?
Well, at first I thought it was a work, but it wasn't. I think that Vince Russo was totally out of line. He shocked Hogan. I think he shocked Eric Bischoff. And that was what I saw the beginning of the end of WCW, because that was the point of no return. You can, point to a lot of other things like David Arquette becoming a champion and some of the other things that we got involved in. I mean, it got to the point where it was ridiculous. And that was Vince Russo booking right there, by the way, guys. But the Bash at the Beach 2000 in Daytona at the Ocean Center, I think, was really the beginning of the end for World Championship Wrestling, and that tirade by Vince Russo started it all. I think our business lost all credibility.
What was the idea behind you wrestling Mark Madden on a Thunder?
You come up with that one, and you got some of my money. I don't have a clue. I was trying to be cooperative, but that was a piece of garbage. What would I be involved in something like that? Going in with that big tub of, he's a little on the heavy side, and we're not going to give him any kind of a wrestling match. Hell, it wasn't even fun for the television audience. I didn't have any fun.
Jan, you want to take the next one?
Looking back over your time in the business, who were your favourite and least favourite interviews?
I've got a lot of favorites. I just love some of the old guys that I worked with, Mad Dog Vachon, The Crusher, Baron Von Raschke. I mean, all of those guys were just great. And then as I come up through the years, a gentleman by the name of Lord Alfred Hayes, I thought was spectacular. I really enjoyed working with him and his dry sense of humor, but he was truly a communicator. You get up into the days, I was there for Ric Flair's first professional match, and I've always had tremendous admiration for Ric Flair. He is a personal friend of mine. He's one of the few people that through the 25 years that I've known him, well, actually, I've known him since 1968, so let's go up to 35 years. And it's been a very pleasant experience. We still talk every week, even when we don't see each other, and kind of shoot the breeze. I like Ric Flair. Hulk Hogan, also another favorite of mine. But all of the kids today, I like them. It's a little different business in that we don't have the interviews today like we had back 10, 15, 20, 30, and 40 years ago. So it's pretty tough to compare yesterday to today in that respect. And as far as horrible interviews, well, I had a ton of them. But a lot of those guys were young guys. They were kids. They were green. They were brought in. Bret Hart, even at first, was a little rough on the interviews, but eventually he turned out to be a pretty fluent speaker and certainly a good communicator on camera. Real rough. Both of them now have passed away, the British Bulldogs, but even they, after we worked with them for a couple of years, became quite good and quite entertaining. And personally, I like both of them too. As far as bad interviews, of course, you know, there were a ton of them, and I don't really want to insult anybody, but there are some horrible ones out there, and they know who they are.
After the long, windy road, how's it feel to be back in the WWE?
It feels very, very good. The only thing that I kind of miss is the fact that I'm not working with Bobby Heenan. And Bobby and myself have been very close for, here again, close to 30 years. But who knows? He's had to overcome some health issues, and it wouldn't surprise me if he were to pop up on the scene in the very near future. It's something I'd like to see. I'm very happy where I am. I'm doing enough right now in terms of wrestling, hosting Confidential, making a periodic appearance on either Raw or SmackDown, and doing a couple of projects for the WWE. I would like to get involved in some of their classic or archived product, because I think I have a little better feel for that than maybe some of the younger announce type guys. So that may be my bag in the future, and hopefully I can be part of that. And Lord knows they got the libraries now that they could really put out some great stuff.
Oh,
is that your dog?
I think that might be Dan.
Oh,
Terrible cough.
I'm not making you sick, am I, Dan?
No, I've got an awful cough and I just can't get rid of it. Anyway.
Might want to try a little rye whiskey, pal.
I might actually. Okay. Got a couple of questions from the chat forums for you here. A lot of people want to know about yourself and Hulk Hogan. Have you always been consistently good friends backstage, or?
Yeah, but very good. I think from day one, he has become in the past preoccupied with some individual projects where we probably lost touch for a month or maybe even a month or two, but I still stay in contact with him. And to tell you the truth, I think that he and a gentleman by the name of Kevin Dunn were instrumental in my returning to the WWE. Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon coming up with a Confidential concept and having me throw my 2 cents worth in. And when they were talking about hosts, Hogan said, the one for this would be Gene Okerlund. And I've got that from a very good source who happened to be on a plane ride from the Midwest back to New York with Vince McMahon when it came up in conversation. And hence here we are. We're just about a year deep in Confidential and enjoying every minute of it. I wish we could get into some probably a little harder news, but I'm going to have to kind of wait and see how that plays out.
A couple of the critics of the show have said that along with Tough Enough, maybe Confidential is exposing the business too much. How would you respond to that?
That's BS. That's BS. Actually, there may be a lot of fluff in there, but we're not exposing anything. When we initially came up with our opening show and Shawn Michaels, and then I think the 3rd or 4th episode in is when Stone Cold Steve Austin walked out of Raw after a pay-per-view and went home with his ball and wife at that time. You know, those were things that we could cover, and Stone Cold made no bones about it. As a matter of fact, we replayed it from Bite This, where he had aired or vented his spleen regarding the creative direction they were taking his character. And then we heard Vince McMahon's side of the story, and you know what was given away there? So if somebody says we're giving too much away on Confidential, Tough Enough maybe, but what about backyard wrestling? You know, who's giving what away?
Another one from the chat forums is, do you like the new generation hardcore style of wrestling?
I'm not nuts about hardcore. I am really not. I remember we went through a hardcore bracket in WCW, and I know they've done it in WWF/WWE, and I think it goes back to ECW, really, and a couple of other sub-Rosa type organizations. But I don't see a whole lot of entertainment in it, and the way it is, even in our business, I think there's too many chairs, foreign objects, and maybe if we put a few of these things to rest for a while and got back to basic wrestling with great psychology, telling great stories in the ring, and having longer matches on television. Unfortunately, everything is TV and then pay-per-views. But we get some good quality pay-per-view matches like we had at this past WrestleMania 19.
Yes.
But it'd be pretty tough to put any of those matches on Monday Night Raw or even on SmackDown. The duration is too long, and it's tough to hold interest that long. There's a lot of tuning out and tuning in television today.
You spoke earlier about needing competition, and right now the only other wrestling competition company that has television is NWA Total Nonstop Action. Have you seen any of this, and what is your opinion of their concept?
We have another one here in Florida on the Sunshine Network. I think it's called
MLW.
Major League Wrestling,
Right.
and I don't know too much about it. But NWA TNA is Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett. And I really don't know, unless they get some kind of distribution with that product, if they can hold up any kind of a buy rate on a weekly show for pay-per-view. Pretty tough to deliver. I wish them the best of luck, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think they would have to make some kind of a strategic alliance with a national cable network, very much like Vince McMahon has done, so they could promote the pay-per-view and do it in a way where they could certainly reap, I guess, a little better financial reward in the end.
Getting back to your business, you opened up a burger shop a long time ago, a chain of burger shops a little while ago. Is that still going? And somebody wants to know how you came up with your catchphrase for the burger shop.
Well, actually, that goes back to 1996 or 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Mean Gene's Burgers, the burger that says "Bite Me." We also now have Mean Gene's Pizza, better because it's fresh. And we have about 180 locations worldwide, predominantly in college, universities, and military installations. The slogan for Mean Gene's Burgers came up, and back in the late 1990s, 1997, 1998, "Bite Me" was a pretty popular little catchphrase, and it's something that McDonald's certainly couldn't use, because at that time they found it offensive. "Bite me" probably meant a little something different than it means today. It's just kind of a little nicer way of saying whatever. But it's kind of stuck, and we're using it. I don't think it's tired by any stretch of the imagination. And with the crowd that we're with, I don't think we're offending anybody, because we're taking a look really at young adult males 18 to 34, which kind of mirrors the wrestling audience, if you think about it.
Yes, I agree. Dan, do you have any other questions?
Mm-hmm. Do you have any plans to follow the lines of like Hulk Hogan and Hardy Boys into writing a book?
Well, yeah, I have a stack of notes here that I would imagine probably, and I'm not like Mick Foley. I don't do it by hand. I do everything on my word processor. But I do a little public speaking too, so I continually kind of spin the stories of my career, and certainly someday it's going to come out in the book, and I may tell everything. If I do, it is going to blow this industry wide open, because I've got a lot of information here that I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in.
Before we close up, we'd like to do a little word associations. You probably know what this is. We're just going to mention.
I played the game.
Okay. First name on the list is Vince McMahon.
Creative genius.
Hulk Hogan.
Very charismatic, one of a kind.
Ric Flair.
The best.
Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Heenan, the quickest wit in television, period. Not just wrestling television, television.
Vince Russo.
Garbage.
Mark Madden.
Needs to go on a diet.
Scott Steiner.
I like Scott Steiner.
Triple H.
Triple H,
Yes.
very smart in the way he is marrying.
Vern Gagne.
Vern Gagne, a legend. Definitely old school.
Jerry Jarrett.
Jerry Jarrett, also old school. I don't know Jerry that well, but I think of the people that are in the business today, it seems like he's making the transition from old school to new and doing it somewhat successfully.
Brad Siegel.
Brad Siegel's a television guy, does not belong in wrestling.
And the last one might be a little emotional, but Kurt Hennig.
Kurt Hennig, I love the guy. I knew him since he was a little kid, and we sadly miss Kurt. I really never felt, I guess, any worse about all of the guys that we've lost, the Rick Rudes, the Davey Boy Smiths, all of these guys lately, but Kurt really hit me personally.
We'd really like to thank you for everything, and before we go, we just want to ask you, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans?
Well, just thank you for a great ride, and we're only halfway there. And are there any parting gifts that come with this?
No, sorry.
Well, James and Daniel, it's been my pleasure. Maybe we can do it again.
Maybe we could. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend.
Have a wonderful day.
Hey, this is Buck Rock and Roll Zumhoff. Do like I do. Listen to Interactive Interview every chance you get. Thank you.
Greetings, this is Niles Standage, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview. We're back, and we just finished up with Mean Gene.
You're insulting me again, aren't you?
It's my gimmick.
You're insulting me again. You do it every week, every time.
Yes, but it's what makes you so chuckalicious.
Now you make me hungry.
What'd you think of the Mean Gene interview?
Very good, very good. He's such a character. He's probably the biggest character we've come across so far, I'd imagine.
We've had Randy Savage on the show, and you're going to say that Mean Gene Okerlund's the biggest character?
Because, you know what I mean, in sense of, he's funny. He really is funny.
He really is funny. He's a funny guy, and I wish I would have expected it, because I could have been a little bit more witty. But when he said partying, did he get a partying gift for the show? I could have said something like, yes, every one of our guests gets to push the receiver at the end of their interview, or something stupid like that. And a little something cheesy to give back to the people.
And unfortunately, as you can probably tell from about the cough, I've still got this flipping cough.
Of course, you're also half drunk, aren't you?
I'm also half drunk at the time, yes. Because I've been out all night watching the football.
Party all night. No.
Which probably isn't helping the fact that my throat is really like... dedication and commitment.
So what do you think? You think they're going to try and get Bobby Heenan on Confidential? It kind of sounded like he was alluding to it.
Yeah, it did. But I'm not sure how well Bobby can go.
I love Bobby Heenan, and I really do wish him the best of luck, and we're trying our best to get him on the show. And Bobby Heenan's one of my all-time favorites, and I know he's battling some health problems right now, but I don't watch the WWE very much. I don't, mostly because I don't appreciate their material. I don't appreciate how they got their popularity either. But if you could see Bobby Heenan back on TV, I'm all for it. Bobby's the best. Wow, I just got real depressed, didn't I? Look, we're recording this while I'm watching TNA, and I'm about to go out of my skin. So I want to go watch TNA, but we wanted to do a little recap real fast so you people can hear our appreciation for me and Gene's interview, and we really hope you enjoyed it. Dan, is there anything you want to talk about real quick?
What's happening on TNA? Come on, tell us what's on TNA.
Raven just hit a DDT on a blinded D'Lo Brown.
Ooh.
And Alexis Lurie got thrown to the floor. And Julio De Niro, who looks a lot like Matt Hardy from a couple years ago, just got a sky high.
What's the match?
It was Raven against D'Lo Brown, and for some reason Julio De Niro is following behind Raven. And Alexis Lurie is Raven's valet.
Ooh.
Mostly because Raven was after somebody else and didn't get her.
So, hang on, so Julio is with Raven.
Julio manages Raven, which to me I'm confused by because Raven wrestled Julio just a couple weeks ago on TNA.
Yeah. Was it last week he was in a tag team with him?
No, it was not a tag team. It was he managed them last week too, and Trinity kicked the crap out of all three of them.
I remember. Of course, since I'm still in the UK, I still can't watch it. I read it. And the way it read was the tag team match, so thank you for clearing that up.
Why don't you buy a satellite dish? Would that help?
No.
Mm.
No, unless I went illegal. So it's illegal.
You'll have to check out tape sales, by the way. I don't want to get into that.
No, go into it.
Hold on. We sound sickly this week.
Exactly. We're both getting rid of our illnesses on each other. Not good. Sounds so bad. Julio De Niro, who was only on the show originally...
Trying to dig yourself out of that one?
I'm not even going to bother. Julio De Niro, who was only on the show originally because Jimmy Yang wouldn't sign a contract.
Jimmy Yang no sign contract. Me no signy.
Shh.
We love you long time. Okay, I've just managed to piss off the entire Oriental. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. I love Jimmy Yang's a great wrestler, but he made a bad decision that night, and he's going to be
very bad. We've managed to spend about 3 or 4 minutes on this one issue.
Yeah, and the match is actually over now, and they're showing another video package of Raven, which is, to me, they're overkilling Raven because he's not worth it.
They should call it NWA PNR.
Total Non-Stop Raven.
Total Non-Stop Raven.
Welcome to Raven's Cocaine Orange House of Fun. No, Clockwork Orange. And Mean Gene was talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin and how he went home with his ball and his wife. He should have said he went home with his punching bag. I don't understand why people still put over Steve Austin. It takes a special kind of coward, to hit a woman. And I don't care how many hate mails I get for that. If you hit a woman, you're a coward.
No, you shouldn't get any hate mail for that.
Right.
You shouldn't get a single hate mail.
No, not at all. How many what emails am I going to get? What? Like that's some kind of creative idea.
What?
I said I think it's a creative idea.
No, really what?
Well, we're doing real good tonight, so I think we better sign off while we're ahead. I'm going to go finish up watching TNA. I hope you all are doing the same. If we don't come back with another show before Easter, I want to wish everybody that follows the Christian faith a very happy Easter. Have a good Friday.
No, this show probably won't go up till after Easter.
You don't think so?
No. Maybe Easter weekend.
I was hoping maybe we can get it up on Easter.
Okay. So, we'll try.
So we're going to Viagra it on Easter.
Viagra what?
We're going to Viagra it on Easter. Get it up on Easter.
Oh.
Took a little while to put 2 and 2 together, didn't you?
As I told you, it's 1:30 a.m., dude. 1:30 a.m.
And I'm missing TNA, and I'm going out of my skin. I want to watch the show.
Crying. If you Right? You can always email James, and
I'll do that even laugh for you.
ouch. Headache as well, thank you. But if you miss this week's TMA,
I'll be sure to call you in a couple hours when you have a hangover and do that in your ear again.
thank you very much. Let's call Ted DiBiase now. Get him to do it.
His was a little different. Mine's a little bit closer to James Mitchell, Sinister Minister. I actually could do his entire laugh, but I'm short-winded today because I'm...
Please don't, please don't.
Please what?
Please don't.
How was that?
Ouch. Ouch. I said please don't, not please do.
Well, you should learn by now that when you say don't do something, I'm going to do it. And speaking of doing something, we're going to wrap this up. Stay tuned for more from the interactive interview. We got big name guests.
No.
What?
One thing I do want to say...
What?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Go ahead, do it. Go ahead.
Check out theinteractiveinterview.com for upcoming interviews with Psycho Sid Vicious, a.k.a. Sid Udy, Chay, C.W. Anderson, Ron the Truth Killings, Vader, everybody else that you can think of. If there's someone we haven't mentioned that you want to hear on the show, then go to 3swforums.com and request them. Because basically, if you request someone, we'll get them on.
And just a quick thing. Shout out to the USA Pro forums on USA Pro Wrestling's official website. You all are a collection of pinheads. There you go.
While we're doing shouts, let's do a shout to WrestlingNation.com, the Wrestling News Network, who we are now courtesy of. And
I gotta remember to start saying that at the beginning of the interviews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise we'll get dumped. And then I won't be able to afford you anymore, James.
It wouldn't be the first time I got dumped.
Don't go into that right now, especially not with me.
That bitch.
And of course we'd like to give a big thanks over to BikiniHangout.com, who are starting
I love the way they hang out in the bikinis.
They're starting a film with Sable Rena Mirror and Medusa on Spike TV, aka formerly the National Network. National Network, whatever. I don't know what it is, because I'm in the UK and we don't...
It's a Spike network now?
It's called Spike TV now. Well, soon.
Is it? Well, when they first started, they got pop and they got... What else did they get? They get erections or something, I don't know. So there's a lot of innuendos going on over there in the Nashville Network, or whatever the hell they call themselves this week.
Spike TV.
Spike TV. We'll spike the ratings. Raw got a 6. Right. Sure it did. I'm sure it did. Confidential's got an 8.4. We're the Spike Network.
It's actually 0.84, but... No,
Oh, yeah.
with Mean Gene on it, it should be 8.4.
Mean Gene's the best. I'm not going to mock Mean Gene. Gene Mean's my favorite. Gene Mean's my favorite announcer of all time.
Mean.
Woo!
Gene.
Mean. Woo! By God, Gene. That's one of the... I forgot to ask him about what his promos were like cutting with Nancy Sullivan, woman. Because it always looked like he was about to have a heart attack every time she touched him.
We've got to ask him how much of a ladies' man he is.
Yes, I know.
We'll keep those two on file, because, you know...
He did say he'd do us again if we wanted him to, so...
Oh, God. Sexual Innuendo Radio.
The Spike Network. The Sexual Innuendo Show on the Spike Network. I bet we'll get 6.4 ratings.
And finally...
Velocity?
No.
Huh?
Pay attention, boy. Finally.
I'm missing TNA for this. It's a good thing I tape it. By the way, if you want to buy any tapes from me, email me at claimsignmiddleman@AOL.com. Go ahead.
Or...
I won't sell TNA tapes though because that's illegal.
interactiveinterview.com. Your actual email address now?
Yes.
James at theinteractiveinterview.com. If you want to get any tapes for
I won't sell TNA tapes, but I got a lot of other tapes, so contact me and I'll send you a list. This is Niall Standish signing off for the interactive interview.
No.
Yes, I am. I'm signing off.
No, you're not. Listen, one more thing.
What?
Finally.
What?
Check out our other affiliate.
What?
I'm so going to hit you one day. I'm going to throw the phone at the computer and make you cry. I swear.
Because I'm sure I'm going to be a little man hiding in the screen.
RadioRadioBarbie.com. Superstar. Who's going to be in the corner of Sean O'Hare when he takes on Rikishi at WWE Backlash. And he fights Rikishi on SmackDown next week, and you know.
Are they ever going to do Piper against Hogan?
Yeah, one day. SummerSlam-ish time, I reckon.
Why are they pushing it off?
They just, because they want to wait for a big pay-per-view. And then when they get to the big one...
They want to do it on Backtrash?
That'll be Sean O'Hare versus Rikishi. And you got Jimmy Snuka in Rikishi's corner. And you got Sean O'Hare in... Roddy Piper in...
How about a pineapple on a pole match?
No, not pineapple, a coconut, you fool.
Yeah, that's right. I thought he hit him with a pine... I don't know, I'll have to watch the tape. Yeah, I think you're right. Coconut. Coconut. Can I go now? I want to watch TNA.
Yeah, I suppose. Got it. Because I'm tired as well.
You're tired as well, and you're half drunk. You're half in the bag, aren't you, Niles?
Don't call me Niles.
How about, what's another British name?
Prince Charles one.
Brandon.
It's Prince.
What's another British name? Only British people have it. I know Niles is one of them.
That's not a British name.
It is so. I've never seen one American named Niles.
Do you not watch Frasier?
Yeah, but he kind of thinks he's British. I mean, his accent and everything.
The waitress or the woman, you know, the woman...
She's really British, yeah.
Oh, she's British.
Yeah, she's...
Jane Lee's just saying, I can't remember her name.
I can't remember, but she's a Daphne on the show.
British. Yeah, Daphne. She's British, not Niles.
Very pretty girl, is my dad. Very pretty girl, my dad.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'll let you go. Watch TNA.
I gotta go watch some other show.
Go and do some research on Ron the Truth Killings, who's coming up.
Ron the Truth Killings, yes indeed. I'm gonna do some research on him. I'm gonna do some research on Trinity and,
Vader? Well, he's not on anymore, but, you know.
Vader?
Well, he's not on TNA anymore, but, you know, just... TNA tapes with Vader on it.
I am your father. That's one question I gotta ask him. Did he get that from that? And did he ever have a gimmick?
You ask him and you sound stupid.
Hey, I never sound stupid.
Vader. No.
Are you named after Darth Vader? Did you ever have a...
Vader. No.
Did you ever plan on naming anybody else Skywalker?
Big fan Luke Skywalker. No.
I better go. TNA, go, everybody watch it next week, because I know you can't watch it this week. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.
WATNA.com.
Did you do the voiceover on that Wrestling Nation?
WrestlingNation.com. www.theinteractiveinterview.com. www.3swforums.com.
Do you sound like a frog?
Thank you. I feel like a frog.
There's a line there somewhere, but I guess we'll never get your Lucky Charms. I'm gonna let you go. This is it. Finally. You're listening to the interactive interview. We'll see you next time. And don't forget, I'm Niall Standish.